Welcome back, everybody, to the Zone4 Podcast YouTube channel. I am Brant Fowler, and this is another episode of the Zone4 Comic Countdown, episode 2, covering books that came out on January 14th, 2015. I read 13 books this week, so without further ado, let's just jump right into the list. Coming in at 13 is Spider-Verse, number 2. This book, with a $5 price tag, was just not worth the price of admission, sadly. Um, it had like two or three, maybe four short stories featuring different Spider-Men from the multiverse, including the punk rock one that you see here. That a lot of people were saying, oh, he's new, but he's been around the whole time. And one story that was completely in Spanish, unless you downloaded a free digital version to get the English version. And the story wasn't even that great. The art was nice in that story. The first story was, I don't know, kind of goofy and a little bit boring. So, I don't know. Overall, this book was just a disappointment, not worth the price tag, sadly. And that pains me being a Spider-Man book to say that, because I love Spider-Man. Coming in at number 12 is New 52 Futures In. As you can see, something going on there with Constantine. And this issue, like many in this series, was disjointed. It had like little bits and pieces of each storyline as they're trying to come to a culmination as the series is ending pretty soon. And it was just jumping all over the place. They were rushing plot points and this and that. So that's why this one falls lower on the countdown as well. Coming in at number 11, we have Guardians 3000, number 4. I actually enjoyed this issue. It was kind of a history of this version of Vance Astro, how he came to be in space and how it was all misguided. It was a little bit too heavy on the history here and not much on the main story with the asentient Stark robots, which did play a part here. So it was still an enjoyable issue, but not nearly as good as the previous three. So that's why it ranked a little bit lower on the countdown for me. Coming in at number 10, Daredevil, number 12. And I enjoyed this story, but again, it wasn't as good as previous issues to me personally. It was a Daredevil, continuation Daredevil, trying to catch this new stunt master, and there's a reveal here as to who's behind this all, and what repercussions that have for Daredevil. And there's a little romantic moment between him and McDuffie towards the end that's kind of touching and kind of a new territory for Daredevil in quite some time. So it was a good solid issue. It just wasn't up to par with previous issues for me personally. So that's why it came in at number 10. Alright, so moving along, coming in at number 9 is Wolverines number 2. This one actually surprised me a little bit. This issue was much better than the previous issue. Ray Fawkes wrote this issue. I believe him and Charles Soule are alternating issues at this point. This issue, every character felt like themselves as opposed to the previous issue. Mystique was that cold, calculating, don't mess with her chick. And X-23 was the acting out, rebellious kind of girl here. Dawkins was in character. Sabretooth. Everybody was in character. I appreciated the plot point more here, but it's still, for the $3.99 on a weekly book, it's still a little bit too much to swallow. But I thought the art was solid in this issue. The story was better. The characters were development was better. The characters' personalities were better. So overall, this was definitely a better issue of Wolverines. So I think I might give it a little bit more time to see if Charles Soule is able to pick up these characters as well as Fawkes has been able to. So we'll see what happens with the next issue when Soule is back on the book. Alright, so coming in at number 8, we have Batman Eternal number 41. This issue, as far as the weeklies go, this was definitely the best of the weeklies. And the issue, I actually enjoyed the issue. It was focusing on the Bat family, focusing on Red Robin and Harper and Batgirl and Jason Todd. And I enjoyed the whole coming together of the Bat Kids, if you will, and Harper coming into her own, and spoiler and all this stuff going on. And I thought the art was a lot better in this issue. The story flowed nicely, And I actually enjoyed this one. Batman Eternal is the one weekly series where I've enjoyed it more than I've not enjoyed it. So that's why this particular issue, gets higher on the countdown. So coming in at number 7, we have Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man number 9. And I know a lot of my friends over on Kombat Frontline ranked this a little bit higher. It was a good issue. There was a nice moment between Miles and his father, and you got the history of his father with Shield. But being a continuation of a story from last issue, it does seem to stretch on a little bit too long, and it does seem a little bit like filler. Still fantastic art, really solid story. I love the layouts of the pages and everything, and I love the dialogue and the moment, the emotional moment towards the end, the closure that Miles gets with his dad before things blow up all over again. So I did enjoy the issue, just it wasn't quite top 5 material this time. Alright, so coming in at number 6 is Mortal Kombat X number 1. I've seen a lot of talk about this issue, a lot of controversy. If you're a hardcore Mortal Kombat fan, you're not crazy about certain elements of it. If you're a casual fan of Mortal Kombat with a cursory history, you're not as invested because you don't know what the heck is going on in this issue. And if you're new to it, you kind of enjoy it for what it is, but it doesn't really immerse you into the Mortal Kombat world. That's the kind of comments I've been seeing, looking through different reviews and everything. Me personally, I am a Mortal Kombat fan. It's my favorite fighting franchise of the classic fighting franchises, and I come into it realizing that with Mortal Kombat, each game they've kind of changed up the story. They've changed characters. There's been multiple Sub-Zeros, as one took the mantle from the other, and so on and so forth. So I'm used to them changing things up and kind of rewriting history, if you will. In this one, they kind of flip-flop things. Scorpion became a good guy, Sub-Zero a bad guy, and it was a little weird, a little odd to take, but I just kind of embraced it as, okay, this is another take on this franchise, to keep it alive, to keep it fresh, and because a lot of people like Scorpion, so they wanted to give him a different kind of edge to it. That kind of bothered me a little bit, the twist there, but at the same time I enjoyed it. We got to see more of Scorpion, who he is and everything, and delve into his personality and his background a little bit, plus this other character, Takeda, who apparently is a DLC character, that I didn't know before the Frontline live show. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought the art was fantastic. The story was decent, and I enjoyed just reading about these characters. I love these characters, so I'm just kind of taking it as an Elseworlds version of these characters in Mortal Kombat, and I'm enjoying it for what it is. So that's why it came in at number 6. Getting into my top 5 this week, which if you watched the Frontline live show, you already know what my top 5 is. But for those that didn't, let's go through it. Number 5 is Lazarus, number 14 from Image Comics. This is a fantastic series. If you guys have not checked it out, I highly recommend checking this out. Greg Rucka is a fantastic writer. This is a very interesting story about these mobster families, and they have this. Each one of them have this protector. Forever, or Eve, is the protector of the Magia family. I think it's the Magia family. Is that right? That may not be right. No, that's not right. I'm thinking of a whole other comic. Anyway, she's the... I can't believe I'm blanking on the family's name. Anyway, she is the protector for her family, and she learns some secrets about her past and who exactly she is in this issue. She's tasked at the very beginning of the issue, she's tasked to take out her own brother, or supposedly her own brother, because there's this war between families, and the brother he's a linchpin in it, and they're trying to set up one of the other families to take the fall for his death, to start this war, this turf war kind of thing going on. So it's a very interesting futuristic take on mobster, gang family turmoil. And I really enjoy it. I think Forever is a fantastic character. She's a strong female lead who is discovering things about her past that maybe she's not too crazy about. And it's just a really interesting story. I love the art style as well, from Michael Lark. So I'd highly recommend checking this out. I have not been given scores throughout this whole review, and I just realized that. So I will post them in the descriptions below what I ranked each issue. Actually, no, I won't. I take that back because then that would ruin the video for you guys. So at the end, I'll run back through the rankings. I apologize for that. I wasn't even thinking about star rankings here. Shield issue 2 comes in at number 4. Miss Marvel guest stars and interacts with Coulson and Simmons. Fun interaction. I had a blast with this issue. At first, I was like, I like this issue. I like issue 1 a little bit better because it felt more like the TV show. But Jay on Comic Frontline brought out a point that he liked this issue because it felt more detached from the TV show and it felt more set in the comic universe. And I can appreciate that. I appreciate both takes on it. For me, Coulson wasn't quite in character here, but it was still a fantastic, fun issue. Great art. I love Miss Marvel's character and her interaction with Coulson, especially throughout. And Simmons, kind of exploring her personality and, putting her more out into the field and seeing what kind of agent she is. I appreciated in the backup story with Agent May and Fitz was just funny too. So, love this issue. So that's why it gets number 4 on this week's countdown. Coming in at number 3, we have Batgirl number 38, which was a complete surprise to me. I did not expect to like this book at all, because this new take on Batgirl just doesn't feel like Barbara Gordon to me. But this issue made me realize what exactly the creative team is doing here. And I did a full review of this on Comic Frontline, which you can find by clicking up there. And I felt like this issue addressed the concerns the fans have had, which is the drastic change in character for Batgirl. And Dinah kind of calls her on it and says, you're not acting like yourself, you're acting immature and you're acting out and you're doing all this social media stuff and putting yourself in harm's way and putting people in harm's way. And a cop that she's dating kind of calls her out and calls the character of Batgirl out on it as well. And it's kind of making her think about her actions of late and exactly where this is headed. And it shows you that she's just kind of been dealing with a lot and she's trying to let off some steam, and that's kind of why we're seeing this version of Batgirl. And I appreciated that they actually addressed that for fans, so that's why I enjoyed this issue and ranked it at number 3. So coming in at number 2 is All New Captain America number 3. I thought this was a very solid issue. I enjoyed this. I think this series overall has been fantastic so far. In this issue, I feel like they really established a new status quo for Captain America. Steve Rogers, his nemesis throughout publication has been the Red Skull. Now we have the daughter of the Red Skull with Sam Wilson, and it kind of reestablished that kind of rivalry between a Red Skull and a Captain America for a new generation. This is, the daughter of Red Skull versus Sam Wilson, Captain America, and he reaffirms that he is Captain America, and she's saying, I am Red Skull. So it was kind of a reboot in a way without rebooting things, and I thought the dialogue was spot on. I thought it was, solid, and I felt like Sam Wilson's voice was very strong here, a very passionate voice here, as he kind of finally embraced that, hey, I am worthy of this, I am Captain America, I'm the defender of this nation. And, the daughter of Red Skull, full on Red Skull mode, and the two battle it out. And I thought it was a fantastic take on the two characters and kind of reestablishing that whole dynamic in a Captain America book. So that's why I ranked it number 2. And of course, ranking in at number 1 is Star Wars number 1, the first Star Wars book from Marvel since they took over the license from Dark Horse. And we were all skeptical of this going in, but Jason Aaron did a phenomenal job with this book, actually. And John Cassaday got the likenesses dead on for all our favorite characters. This book picks up right after the Death Star has been destroyed, and it felt like you were watching an extension of the movie of the original Star Wars movie, and every character was in character. Their voices were right. The art was dynamic and fantastic. You felt the immersion into this book. This was the Star Wars book that we wanted, that we deserved, and that we were waiting for. And from start to finish, every note, I felt like there was not one misstep in this entire issue. I love this issue through and through, and I am now a fan of this series, and I highly recommend, if you have not checked it out, or if you've been skeptical, Star Wars #1 from Marvel, you need to own this. If you're a Star Wars fan, you need to own this. This is a fantastic book, and that's why it ranks at #1, 5 out of 5 stars for this one. So going back through real quick, for All New Captain America, 4 stars, easy. Batgirl gets a 3.75 for me. Shield #2, a 3.5. Lazarus also a 3.5. Mortal Kombat X gets a 3.5 for me as well. Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man 3.25. Batman Eternal gets a 3.25. Wolverines actually gets a 3.25. Daredevil gets a 3 for me. Guardians 3000 a 3. Futures In 2.75. And Spider-Verse a low 2. Sorry guys for that one, but that is your rankings, your star ratings, or whatever you want to call them, and that is this week's episode of the Zone 4 Comic Countdown. Thanks for joining me. Tune in next week for a brand new countdown. Until next time, check out Zone4podcast.com. The podcast is coming back on February 6th, and all the programming over the next week or so, I will get the schedule up that I promised. And of course, check out Comic Frontline, Frontline Gaming Zone, comicrelated.com, comicfrontline.com. Check out all those for all kinds of more content from me and friends of mine and colleagues of mine. So until next time, thanks for watching. You are now leaving Zone 4.